There we go. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another live stream. In today's live stream, we are going to use two tools, Framer and Unicorn Studio. I'm going to get into all of that in a little bit, but first, we're going to jump quickly to the presentation of today's project. Before I do that, though, I would highly appreciate if you guys can help me spread this stream by like liking, sharing, commenting. All sorts of engagement really helps. So if you could do that, I would be super thankful. Now, with that said, let's jump over to today's project here. So in this stream, we are redesigning a project that is revolutionizing your online persona. So today, in today's world, how it is in 2024, we are juggling dozens, if not hundreds, of different logins for all your different internet services. So think Facebook is one, right? You have Instagram, then you have Twitter, you have YouTube, Google, all these different kinds of things. We are juggling hundreds of these, or at least I am. And I think that's pretty standard for most people nowadays. But imagine if you could reduce that down to just one single identity. So one online persona, basically. So from all of these different kinds of clouds and services hovering around everywhere, we would go down to this one unified piece of online persona. Well, today's project is trying to do just that. Now, a little caveat here. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it in English, but a little anecdote I want to add is that currently this is not exactly, I think, how the project is working, but it is kind of the vision for it. And I think it's a lot more fun to design for visions. So we're going to assume that this is the future we're going for here. And the project that is going for this kind of future with a one online identity is called D3. And like I've been talking about here, the whole thing is about unifying everything into one identity. Whether it's you logging into social media or shopping online or accessing government services like, healthcare, etc. D3 wants to give you a single secured digital identity that works across all your online activities. And this is powered by the blockchain. So this is powered by crypto, Web3. So you can see, like, for example, in crypto, we have things like our wallet addresses. We have things like contract addresses, Web3 usernames, etc., etc. In the regular internet world, like Web 2, as we call it, we have our website addresses, right? We have our email addresses. But then we can also look at like the even more legacy system where we have our like driver's licenses, passports, educational certificates, legal documents, medical records, etc. What if we could have all of these things under one umbrella, just basically one login? To me, that would be pretty freaking awesome. So that is the whole idea with D3. But on top of that as well, another very good value add that comes with Web3, with the blockchain, is that if you build it on the blockchain, it will also mean that you own your own identity. Like it's your own thing to control. So giving you control over how and where your personal information is used without relying on any single app or service. So you have your identity, you're the one in charge of everything. Again, this is the vision, I think, with the initiative that D3 is going for, which is really exciting, to be honest. So today, like every other stream so far, we have 2 hours to work here. I'm going to do one design session of 30 minutes. Then we're going to have a little Q&A for 10 minutes. Then another design session, 30 minutes again, another Q&A of 10 minutes, and then round off with 30 minutes of design again in the end. And then before we round off the stream totally, we're going to round off with like a little Q&A in the end there as well. So let's check the chat. Do we have anything incoming in the chat today? Here we go. Okay. Maxim. Hi, Tim. Nice to meet. Nice to meet you too, man. Super nice to have you in here. Anime Duty. Hey, Tim. Hey, Anime Duty. Super nice to have you here. Joseph Gunim. Why are you focusing on Framer and not Figma this period of time? Well, the reason I'm doing Framer mostly is because it is on the web, right? We're creating websites with Framer, which is really cool. The second thing is that I find it much easier to create cool animations and things inside of Framer. So that is generally the reason for me using it for these streams, because it just looks cooler. And I think it's a bit more fun to follow along with. So those are the two main reasons. I'm going to wait a little bit more here and see if we have any more comments. Otherwise, I'm just going to jump straight into it because I want to start designing immediately today, guys. I'm going to put my phone up here to set a timer. So we have that. Muhammad Adnan, bro, how to get client as a UI UX designer? That is a good question. I think it really, there are many ways to do that. In the end, what is the absolute most important thing, of course, is that you do good work. Like you have to have a track record of doing good work. Otherwise, no one is going to really, or some people might, but most people are not going to be, how would you say it? They're not going to be trusting you enough to give you money to design for them if they don't know that you can actually design good stuff for them. So building a portfolio of stuff that is good design really helps, obviously. And now, since nowadays we have so many people doing design and so many design agencies popping up everywhere, so I think to differentiate yourself, you should, and this is something I've seen written a lot around Twitter, becoming more of a generalist, like utilizing the different tools that you have at your disposal. So for example, we're using Framer here today. We're going to use something called Unicorn Studio. That is like a crazy tool. You're going to see how easy it is to create these super impressive 3D graphics, WebGL, I think it is. Like familiarizing yourself with these kinds of tools and becoming good at using them will really, really help, because you can create really nice looking stuff pretty easily when you have the right tool stack. So learning a bunch of different tools really helps. And, it's, of course, that's a little part of it, but the main message, becoming more general in your skill set, could help, because you can do more stuff. With that, though, the more general you become, the less, like, you're not going to be a master in any one single discipline, which also has, of course, its drawbacks. But in today's AI era, I think we're going to see much more of a rise in generalist kinds of designers that can do a bunch of different things. Hello from Romania. Hey, man. Super nice to see you here. Hello, Tim from Pete Rock. Hey, Pete. Nice to see you here. So is there any Figma content coming up, Joseph? I haven't planned anything, but if it is something that is more like a web app or something, I might be using Figma in that case. But for now, it's Framer. Reynard, question: how to get hired as UI UX designer without any experience? Without any experience, I think it is hard. You should probably start building out a portfolio. Start creating, like, it doesn't have to be official projects, but you should start creating things your own side projects, for example, so that people can see your skills, because that's why they will hire you eventually. Mona Tote, in your opinion, how can I become an expert in UI? Where do I start? There are many different paths to that. I know that MDS, I think his handle on Twitter is even MDS. He is like an OG in the design space. He has a super good course that covers like everything, basically UI. So that would be a good place to start. I know Misco with a C, Misco on YouTube, like full blown courses for this stuff. So I think that could be a good start. Maxim, I use Google for authorization on most sites, not all. It's very convenient. Of course, these are not government services. Yeah, and I do the same too. I usually log in with Google, but then every now and then you have cases, and even with Google login, for me, sometimes it is bugging out. Like, imagine a world where you just have this one single identity that you use everywhere. For me, that would be pretty awesome. What do I need to expect before trying to get into Framer and picking up Framer as a skill tool? I mean, I'm not sure what you mean. What do I need to expect before trying to get into Framer? But I mean, if you are new to design, but you want to do web design, because Framer is mostly for web design, then like just jump into Framer and start creating stuff. I think it is as valid as getting into Figma to start creating stuff. So just look at tutorials, start creating things, find inspiration, create your own stuff, try around, and I think that will be fine. Is Framer necessary as a Figma UI designer? No, I mean, I still use Figma every day, all day. Like, that's still my main tool. It depends on what you're creating. Again, Framer is for web design. If you're creating apps and stuff like that, then Figma is still what I'm using personally. Now, guys, I am going to get back to the Q&A after one session of design. So I'm going to start the timer here. We're going to jump over into the, let's see here. Yeah, first of all, I'm going to show you a bit what I've been playing around with. So let's play this. So this is kind of the design I want to create today. The reason I created it before, before the stream, is because I started playing around with this tool called Unicorn Studio, which I've never played around with before. So I thought I had to try it out a little bit before I could get started. But as you can see here, like, look at this freaking visual here. This took me like 30 minutes to create, and it's insanely impressive, right? The coolest thing about this too is that it's very performant. Like, it works well on a website, it loads fast, which is pretty amazing. So this is what we're going to create today. I'm going to jump into the home here where we have a blank page. I'm going to set up the structure before we start getting into Unicorn Studio. So let's see here if we can just, I'm going to go in here and actually just steal the logo type. Let's see, where do we have? We have the logo type here. Going to jump back to home and going to paste it in here. So usually what I do is I will create one frame for the nav. So we create the first frame here. I don't even need to change the color. I'm going to place this inside and center it like that. Today I want a centered logo. Usually I do like a left aligned. But today, since our design is going to be pretty centered, I'm going to go for a centered one. Then this is going to be the main hero section. So that is going to be, yeah, about this height. We'll set it to 700 for now. I'm going to add a text field down here. We can say this is going to be the body text. It's going to be down here. So a bit of a more experimental layout today. Usually, or what I've told you in past streams, is that I don't really like not having like a very standardized layout, because in the end, standardized layouts are the ones that convert the most, which is the most important thing. But today we're making more of a cool looking project than we are making a conversion rate optimized project. And that is fine to do sometimes too, depending what your client goals is or are. So we're going to have a body text here. We're going to have a button here. I was thinking we can even create a frame around that. We can make it into an auto layout or a stack. We can add some padding. Make sure that these things should be set to fit like that. And we can give this a background fill. So we have the button. I'm going to give it some radius like that. We can tweak this later, but there we have the button. And something I did here for this project is I said reclaim your identity. I think that sounds, I mean, it does send a message. It is the right message. Like we give people the ability to claim this one identity, right? And I think that, plus the fact that you actually own your identity, makes it pretty cool to say reclaim your identity. So you didn't own it before, but with this approach from D3, you will actually own it. So playing around with the copy there a bit. So we have the body text. We have up here, we have the logo. I'm going to take this text here too. I'm going to decrease the size. Let's say 14. This will be the other stuff. So the links in nav. So we have a marketplace. Let's say we have an about page, and let's say we have docs, or maybe we have something like partners. Because in the end, as it's working right now with D3, they are partnering up with projects. So, for example, in crypto, you have Ethereum, and Ethereum, when it comes to a domain, have this .eth in the end. So that's how you know it's an Ethereum domain. The same goes for other crypto projects like Bored Apes, that NFT project, which has a .ape ending to it. And Bored Ape is one of the partners of D3. So they are giving you the ability to trade with or buy and sell and hold ape on D3 as part of this project on the marketplace. But so I'm adding this partners one to include those different kinds of partners there as well. Have docs. Now, obviously, we're not going to create the individual pages for this. I'm just giving you some context on that. Before I actually duplicate that one, I'm gonna go in and tweak it. So let's say 24, 24, let's say 12, 12. That looks pretty good. I'm actually going to give this a different font. We're gonna go for, what is it called? Outfit is what I wanna use today. Pretty minimal, cool font, outfit, like that. And same here, obviously. We can even, we can take the old body styles actually that I have here. We used Switzer before. Let's say outfit. So this is what I created for last stream. It's going to reuse that one, but just set it to outfit instead. Same for, same for this body here. I'm just going to edit this one and say outfit. So that's the cool thing with text styles, right? You just create it once and then you can reuse it in different places. Outfit. There we go. So now I've changed our different styles. Now I'm going to take all of these up here. I'm going to change them to body 2. So outfit. Now these became 16 in size. But I think that's fine for now. We can tweak that later if we want to. Going to remove the fill of this, remove the fill of this. Going to go to this body text here, change it to white. Let's say that we fade these out to 75% in opacity. You know what? I think I actually want to create a smaller style here. So let's edit that one. It's going to be outfit, and it's going to be 14. And can set it to be a white base color. Now, all of these we are going to put into a stack. This stack is going to fit the content inside of it like that. This as well is going to, like this whole container here, the nav, I'm going to rename it, is going to become a stack too. So let's do this for now, stack, and we can say, oops, I shifted tabs. Can give it a padding of maybe 16 for now, and we'll set it to be space between. Now you can see that since we only have 2 items here, it's trying to space everything, like space everything as much as it can into the different sides. Since we only have 2 items, spacing it like this, which is not what we want. We want this kind of spacing, right? The logo in the center and these items here to the left, and then a call to action to the right there. I'm going to change this to be that color. And we can actually, like, maybe we even create a new body style for this that is like medium. That sounds good. Okay, a medium for that. Now, for the call to action up here, it's going to be another button, but that button is going to be smaller. So I'm going to take this one. Oops. I'm going to take this whole button here. I'm going to call it button medium. This is something I usually do during the streams. Create this button medium. Now, with this button, I think, actually, let's go back. I'm going to create another frame around this, add stack. We are going to remove the fill. We're going to put some radius around this too, and the overflow is going to be hidden. This is going to be called button MD, and this is called inner. And now if we create this button, the reason I did this is because I want another container so that I can play around with some cool effects on hover. Now, if we have time, we might even be able to add like some cool shader in the background on this button in Unicorn Studio. So we could make this button look really tasty. But for now, I think we're just gonna do something that I have as a little classic trick. I'm gonna put this to position absolute, like that. Let's see. And we're gonna give it some blur. Let's say blur. And we can give it a bit of a like gray color, maybe. Now, I just want to show you how this works because it's pretty cool. Let's see if we can even add a blending, maybe. So when it goes over the text, it blends in a cool way. Let's see what we have. This is something I never learned, how the blend works. But there we go. So you can see that it kind of lights up the text a little bit when it goes over. So what I want to do with this frame, I'm going to call it shine. I want to, as we hover over this object, so in Framer, this is really cool because I can just go here to the hover, click hover. Then I can take this shine that I created for the other state. I can drag it to the right and all the way to the right, as you can see there. Now, if I play this, you can see that we get this shine effect on the text on hover. So that is pretty cool. I wanted to show that. Now, before we move out of this component, let's see, maybe we even gray it out a little bit. That is pretty cool. Okay, we get the shine effect. We could do even more cool stuff to this, but I'm gonna stop there now. We can't go too deep at this point. If we have more time later, I'm gonna jump into that. But now I have my button medium. I'm going to place it in the bottom right here. And based on this button medium, I am going to take it, detach it. I'm going to rename it to button SM instead. We're going to change this size to be 16. And you can see here now, this is too big, this outer box. So let's set it to fit content. And by the way, the shine we just did, since it's just like actually shining on the text inside of here right now, we didn't need to create another box in this case, but it's fine. It doesn't destroy anything of our design. Let's see, body 14. I'm actually going to create another text style for this one, and this is going to be a bit thicker. So for the call to action, I want a thicker text, and we are going to have, I think, we can squeeze the letter spacing a little bit. And then we're going to create a component out of this. Going to create another hover state where the shine goes all the way to the right. And now if we play it, we have the same kind of effect as we hover that. Now I can take my button SM, place it in here, remove these, and we have this layout here looking pretty good. Now I'm going to actually wrap this into a stack like this. And we are going to make this whole padding 16 might be fine, but we're going to reduce the height to maybe 72. Let's say padding 20, maybe. And let's say height 80. Something like that, I think, is looking pretty cool. Now, for this one, we are going to place it 20 pixels. That does become a bit too tight. So let's say up here 24. Because I want to have the same distance. I want them to play on the same axis, basically. So let's see how this looks if it's 24 from the sides with these. Maybe it is a bit too tight. Let's say 32. And let's actually increase it to 88 here. Maybe even 96. And then we can take this to 32. That was what we had in the padding, right? Yeah, 32. And this 32 from the right as well. That looks pretty good. If I play it, you can see we have the hover effect, like shining on these buttons. Now, actually, I don't want this button to be a primary button. I don't want this to like gain this much attention. It's the same white as this one, so it's kind of competing with our main call to action down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click into this. I'm going to rename this to button SM, and let's say just secondary. And for the secondary one, we are going to add a different color. So let's say let's see, we'll have to play around with this one a little bit, but let's give it a little faded border, say 15%. Let's take this here and give it a white color. And now, so you see here the shine becomes a bit cooler, but it might be a bit too strong. I'm just going to drag it in here so I can see it. Let's say something like this, maybe. And I'm going to push it all the way there. And now if we play it, yep, that's fine for now. I mean, this is nothing super spectacular. But again, we can go back into this one later to make it more spectacular. But there we have a hover state, at least. And there we have our hover state here as well. Pretty cool. Body text here. I'm going to give a little bit of a fade as well. And here, let's say something. I actually liked what I had for this one. One secure digital identity for all your online activities. One secure digital identity for all your online activities. Like very clear, very short copy. I really like that. I'm actually going to add these into a stack now that I'm thinking about it. I'm going to put that stack like this. It's going to be pinned to the sides and the bottom. So let's say 32 there too. It's going to have a width of, it's going to have a space between distribution, just like this one. And now that looks pretty good. Now, if I decrease the size, you can see that everything is magically responsive because we have been responsible when we've set this stuff up. So that is cool. We have our nav, we have our hero. Do I want to do something else? Let's see here. I'm gonna call this hero. And let's make this into a layout. And let's have no gap. And that is fine for now. Again, let's check responsiveness. Looks good. Obviously, when we go to mobile, we're going to have a different kind of layout later. But let's not focus on that for now. Let's jump in with the last 10 minutes here to Unicorn Studio. This tool, guys, is really crazy. It's still in beta. So you get invites to start trying it. I've been waiting for an invite for a long time. I got my invite a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, since then I haven't had the time to jump into it. But for this project, I thought I want to spice it up a little bit. I want to make the hero really cool here. Like I said, it might not be the perfect like conversion rate optimized hero for this project, but it's gonna look really cool. And I think I want to show you guys cool stuff. So that's what I optimized for. Anyways, so as you go into Unicorn Studio, you can see I have some projects on my own here, or of my own. I have this glow project here. That is the one I used for the hero section you saw in the beginning of the stream. This one I made based on this glow template here. So we're going to do the same, actually. I'm going to click into glow. And as I click into that, you can see here that, yeah, this just looks insane, right? You have this super glowing text field here. And what makes this super glowing text field is basically just these layers here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 layers makes up this awesome looking glow. Now, to make it look the same as I did for mine, I'm actually going to remove this background, or I'm going to hide it at least. And you're going to have to excuse me in this tool because I literally just touched it for the first time today, this morning. So I am not super efficient yet. But what I'm going to go and do is I'm going to select this text here. I'm going to reduce the font size of that to let's start with 64, I think could be good. I'm going to reduce the line height too. So like that, I'm going to drag it into the middle. We also have these things here so we can center it. I'm going to increase the letter spacing a little bit. And see here, we're using Outfit for the font as well. So the same font that we're using in Framer. So that is good. I'm going to change this to be one identity used anywhere. I'm going to increase the width of the text field so that we don't break the rows like we did before there. One identity used anywhere. That looks pretty cool. Maybe minus 2.5 is better. So a little bit more letter spacing between the letters. Okay, already this is looking pretty awesome. Like if I play it, like this arguably looks better than the one I made. But since we have some time here, let's play around and let's see what we can what we can do. So let's see this text here. You can see we have a text field, another text field. So we have the white one that we see in the background, or the gray one. Then we have this other text field, the purple one, that actually makes part of this glow. So if I remove that, or all of the glow, it removes the glow. So you can see here, this text field is right now like basically the letters glow that are masked. I don't know if that's the correct word to say it, but they are basically masking this not shadow, but dusk or smoke, and a light source in the background. So yeah, and then when put on top of here with these nations, right? But I think we're not going to use glow here. I want to use actually D3 logo type. Instead of having the letters glow, we're going to have the D3 logo type. So I'm going to go to images here. I'm going to take this image that I uploaded, which is just an SVG. So a normal SVG of their logo type. I'm going to decrease that size a little bit, or maybe a bit bigger than that. And I'm going to drag it down here. And as I do that, you can see that we now added this on top. Like this became part of this masked out cool smoke effect. If I remove the text, now the logo type is the only thing that gives us this smoke effect, which is, you know, pretty freaking cool how easy you can do that. So we have that as the light source right now, that logo type. And I think that looks pretty cool. We don't have to do much more, but we could go in into the settings here. Obviously, we can change the size of this up and down like this. Maybe something like that. We can change the rotation if we want to rotate it. We can change the opacity to make it stronger or you know, more subtle. We can even add mouse tracking, so interactivity here. So if I increase this and I like give it some momentum and I give it a little 3D tilt, as I hover over here, you can see how it's like following the cursor, and it's the momentum is making it so it's not following like immediately as I move the cursor. It's like a bit lagging behind, I think. And it has like some sort of physical dynamic or speed to it as we move the cursor. Also with the 3D axis tilt, you can see that it kind of tilts the logo as well. But yeah, like how long has this taken me? Like 5 minutes to make this insane thing? I am mind blown just by using this morning. But I think this looks pretty cool as a starting point. So we have the image here in the background. Then we have this blur. So let's see what happens if we switch the blur. I'm not actually sure. Again, I am still a noob in this tool, so I'm not sure exactly. Okay, so you can see how it affects the smoke. Basically, it becomes here. It becomes very blurred out. The smoke here, it becomes less blurred out and it's more intense. So we can see more of the logo the smaller we make the smoke, which is pretty cool. I think that could be better because then you can, you know, when we make it too big, like too blurred out, you can't really tell that it's the logo. But if we decrease it, then it becomes more apparent that that is the logo in the background. So let's see, we can even skew it if we want to. I think don't need to do that. Tilt shift. Okay, so that also makes the like intensity a bit different. You can see here it becomes more, what would you say, less blurred out, it looks like. And you also have these small little information icons that you could check to see what everything does. Oh, we have different kinds of blurs. Now you have Gaussian, and there we have box. Didn't see much of a difference there. Again, we can add some kind of mouse tracking to this effect as well, but I don't think we need to. I think this looks pretty cool. The FBM. Now, if I remove this, you can see we lose that cool smoke effect. So the FBM is what makes that cool smoke effect. I mean, this still looks pretty cool, but with this, like, it just becomes dynamic on a whole different level. So I think this is pretty awesome. Yeah, we're definitely gonna keep this one. I think. What happens if we play with the amplitude? Ooh, this becomes pretty cool. But again, like, as I do that, we can no longer tell that it's the logo type. So that might be a drawback in our case, because I do want you to be able to tell that this is the logo type. So let's not play with amplitude too much, maybe a little bit like that. What about face? Let's see, phase controls the time element of the effect. Okay, so it changes the timing of it, I guess. Not sure how exactly it changes it, but this is the cool thing with this tool too. You can just play around with different effects. You're gonna find stuff that eventually you have no idea how you ended up there, but you have something awesome that looks, yeah, crazy. Okay, the gain again also like, you can see the less we have the gain, the more clear it becomes. The more gain we have, the more smoky it becomes. So maybe we do something like, again, the more smoky it is, the less apparent it is that it's the logo. So maybe we have less gain. So maybe something like that. We can change the scale of it. I think that is fine. Angle, just changing the angle of it. I think that is fine. We can change the speed of the animation. How fast do we want it to be? Maybe a bit slower. Something like that. Now I think it's like pretty evident that it's the logo, and it's not too quick where it becomes distracting. So I kind of like this. Whoops, there is the timer. It's time for Q&A, people. I'm going to set the timer for 10 minutes, and we are going to jump back here into the Q&A. All right, so let's see, where did we left off? Okay, Reynard Nathaniel. Let's see. Can I ask your take on people who think design is easier than program? So I guess you're saying programming. I mean, I think it's it really depends on the person. I think some people really feel that they're not artistic in the sense that they don't know how to draw, for example. And for those kinds of people, maybe design feels harder than something more logical, like programming, for example. So I think it really depends on the person. I don't think you could say that either is easier than the other. Now, obviously, today we have a bunch of AI tools helping us with stuff. So we have this cursor AI, I think it's called, that helps you code. So now basically everyone can become a coder today, or a programmer. And at the same time, we have like tools like MidJourney or Unicorn Studio that makes everyone into an artist in some way or form. So I think it's very hard to say like which one is easier. Let's see here. I already know Figma, but why would you advocate I learn Framer? I of course know it's not necessary, but what's the plus point? Well, again, going back to like, what are you trying to do? If you're building websites, Framer is amazing. Framer is super fast. It's the same kind of user experience that as you have with Figma. You have this free-form canvas where you can create stuff, but the difference is that you're actually creating websites. So with Framer, you're not only creating SVGs basically on a canvas, you're creating web elements that you can then publish into a live website. And you can embed things like I'm showing here, Unicorn Studio, for example, which gives you just a whole different level of interactivity in your final designs. So I wouldn't say that like you should go with either or the like with Figma or Framer. It depends, right? If you're doing web development mainly, Framer is great because you don't have to first create it in Figma and then jump over into Framer and copy it over and redo some of the work. You could just start in Framer from the start and, you know, get a live website in the first go. If you're creating product design, if you're creating apps of different kinds, then Figma is still the tool you should be using. So yeah, it depends on what you're trying to create. Let's see, I'm new to this channel. I use WordPress to create websites. Now I need to learn actual UI UX and wanted to learn Framer. Where can I learn? There are a bunch of great Framer tutorials on the web. You have obviously the known one, I would say, is Nandi with Framer University. He has a lot of great tutorials. You can find on my channel, I have a bunch of tutorials on Framer as well. I also do have a Framer masterclass or Framer 0 to Hero course that you could check out if you want to dive even deeper and kind of, you know, master Framer. It is a bit more on the expensive side, but it's like 24 or something hours of content and it covers everything. So you have one dedicated learning experience to dive into. But yeah, so Nandi's channel, I would suggest. And my channel, I have about free tutorials on Framer as well. Let's see. The bonus point is that Framer is a no-code web builder, so everything you do there is can be a live website. Figma is just design software. Yes, exactly, Jorge. Let's see. Font, Webflow, or Framer. So there is a little discussion here. Both are no-code web design builders. Framer is easier if you have no background in design, at least for me. Yeah, I would say so. Like Framer versus Webflow is this typical debate. And for me, coming from a tool like Figma, being a designer, being more on the artistic side, it just makes so much more sense to me to use Framer because I can sit and draw rectangles on the canvas in a way that is more intuitive to me. With Webflow, you're building websites more in a structured manner, but in a structured manner that is more close to the logical development of an actual website. So, and what I mean by that is that in Webflow, you will have to work with classes. You will have to work with blocks on your designs, on your canvas in a whole different way than you're doing in Framer. So it's a lot less free in how you create stuff. So for me, the UX between the two is like the biggest difference. Webflow is still probably the more robust option in some cases, but Framer is quickly catching up on robustness and features and everything too. So if you're a designer, I think Framer is really the tool to be using because it's just going to align more with how you're used to design stuff. So that's my take on that. Maxim, it looks awesome. Yeah, right. It's insane. Like it's really insane what you can do with Unicorn Studio. And it goes so fast too, which just blows my mind. And here we have my brother Elias. Yes, let's go, Elias. Happy to see you commenting here. Akin's Realm. Well, first time I see Tim Gabe live. Hey, awesome to see you here in the stream. Yeah, I haven't been doing this too much. I think it's the third stream, and it's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying doing this stuff. So I'm hoping to continue doing these, because just the interactivity with all of you and designing live is a fun challenge. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Now, unless you guys have more questions, I'm actually going to jump back into design mode here. And I don't see anything else. So 3 minutes to go here. I will add that onto the next Q&A if we need that time. For now, though, I'm going to set another 30-minute timer, and we are going to go back in here. So this is where we left off. We have added our text to the Unicorn Studio here, and we've changed from having this, you can see this blurry image here in the background. That was originally a text field that was blurring this out and making this cool purple effect. Now we added the D3 logo there instead. So that is what you're seeing here. Now, I think we are pretty much done with this layer 2. I'm going to go to the God rays now. So if I remove this one, God rays, you can see, whoa, there we kind of lost a lot of the coolness. So this God rays effect gives off these, yeah, you can see these God rays coming from all the shapes. And that makes a huge difference, right? It looks so much cooler with that. Let's see what happens when we play around with intensity. So yeah, if we go to 0 in intensity, we go back to that boring state. And the more intensity we add, the cooler it looks, basically. Let's see what happens with the spread. Yeah, okay, so the spread is how far these God rays are spreading. I don't think we want to be too crazy with it. Maybe, I don't know, 40-ish percent, 39. Diffuse. Can't really tell. I guess the God rays become more or less diffused. So they're like more or less blurry. Yeah, so here they look a bit more, what would you say, strong. And here they become more faded and blurred out, it looks like. We have the exposure. Whoops, it's the same. So if I go up in exposure, we kind of lose that cool effect. Now, one thing I want to play with here too, though, is the color. So we can change the color of these God rays. You see here, if I jump around between these, we can, like, this is just insane. Like how easy it is to play around with this to gain these crazy effects. I don't know. The branding of D3 kind of has this purple/blue vibe. So I don't know. I kind of like blue one. Maybe to the purple now. This is also kind of cool, but maybe it goes too far away from the actual branding. So let's see if we maybe, I don't know. This is so hard because everything looks really cool. I feel like something a bit more bluish could be pretty interesting. Something like this, maybe. Yeah, I think I'll go for this one for now. Let's jump back to the God race. And again, yeah, you can see here we have the interactivity. So we have the tracking the motion. So I can reduce that so it's not moving as much as... so the God rays, remember, we have different layers here. This image also has tracking. So the image itself of the logo is moving, but this is the God rays. How much are the God rays moving as we are moving around here? And I think not too intense is pretty nice. But yeah, again, this is looking pretty awesome, I think. I'm not going to stay on that one too long. I think that is looking good. Then we have the text field. So this is just the text field that we added. Again, if we change the colors here, you will see now we have fade on the color as well. But you will see that of course changes how everything looks as well. It doesn't give that cool, like the effect with the illumination here is much better when we have some kind of light color. So I think we're just going to stick with white here for this one. One thing we could try here is to have a tiny bit of mouse tracking on the text. So now you can see that the text is also moving a little bit. I don't know if that is overkill, but we're creating something cool here. That's the whole idea of today's project. So maybe we have the text moving a little bit too. Let's see if we add some momentum there. And let's see if we add some 3D axis tilt. See that the text is now moving in 3D space. It is pretty cool, to be honest. Let's go back without tracking to see again what it's like. I don't know. Like, I think both have their charm. Like, yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know which one I like the best. Let's reduce this 3D axis tilt to like 3% too. So it's very subtle, but it's still moving. Let's say even 1%. So now it's just a tiny bit that it's moving. Let's go for that. And then eventually we have the bloom. If I remove the bloom, you can see this illumination part of it disappears. So this bloom, we can also increase and decrease. So like you can see, as I increase it, the less intense it becomes. The more I reduce the size of it, you can see the illumination becomes stronger there. So, and what happens when I move it? Yeah, it's just positioned differently. So maybe, I mean, this is because here it becomes really intense, and I like that. That looks really awesome. Let's see what happens when we do. Yeah, obviously an intensity also helps here. Wow, here it lights up a lot. That is awesome. I can't wait to actually start using this for client projects as well, because this is, and like I said in the beginning too, the crazy thing with this is how performant it is. Unicorn Studio is really, really performant. Like you can even put this up on your phone, and it's not gonna be like a huge loading time. So this is something you can actually use for client projects. Let's see what happens when we skew it. Ooh, did you see that? So I'm skewing it now, like, so the rays become vertical here. So it's kind of lighting up vertically. It becomes a bit less legible. So let's not have it too intense. But it's kind of cool how it just lights up now from the edges like that. One identity used anywhere. I mean, this is really freaking cool. Let's see if we change the color here. What happens if we do, yeah, again, the same thing here. The lighter the color, the more intense the illumination becomes. If I do black, you see it just disappears fully. So I don't think this one matters super much. Obviously, of course, it matters a lot. But if we're going for like a light blue and a light white, it's a very subtle difference. But yeah, let's see if we do something like maybe like this. I think that is cool. I'm going to go for that one. Okay, so here we have the text. We have the background blur thing here. And this is already, like, this could already be used by itself, I think, for the website. But I want to do one more thing here, just to add another layer of coolness. Not because it's necessary. It's probably even not suggested to do this. But again, this stream is about making some cool stuff. So what I want to do is I want to add the logo as a 3D object here. So if I go into the 3D settings here, I can go to SVG and upload my own SVG as a 3D object. So that's what I've done. I've uploaded the white logo here. So I add that. And I think, I don't know if this is a bug or if it's just loading now, because I realized that it turns black. Okay, it was just loading. So that's not a bug, but we might need a loading indicator there, because before I was just refreshing my page once that happened. But now I added, you can see this is now a 3D object. So if I go here to, let's see, we need to go to this 3D object. And if I change the axis here, you can see that this is a freaking 3D object. It just took my SVG and it added it into here. And now it is looking pretty insane. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this here. And I am going to reduce the scale a little bit. So maybe something like this. Again, now, as you can see, now we're kind of hiding the text here. This is not what I would recommend on a website where we optimize for clarity, legibility, for maybe conversions, even like I mentioned. But since we're doing the cool stuff today, I am doing it. I'm just doing, I can't help myself. You just see how cool it looks. And we're just playing around here. So I think we can do it. We can do it, people. But so this itself is looking pretty cool. But what if we go and do some mouse tracking on this one too? We give it momentum and we do like, so it 3D tilts as we move. That is crazy. It kind of looks like this 3D object is giving like it's giving this shadow, but it's obviously not a shadow in the background. But since it's the same shape, it looks like they're in sync and they are related to each other. Obviously they are, though, because they're the same logo. But I really like that look. Again, we are now in the territory where we are questionable in terms of legibility of the text here. Let's see what happens if we change the Y position of it. So it's like up here instead. So that it's slightly above the text, so we can still read it and we can still get this cool effect as we hover over it. I think that is pretty good. Because if we go further up, you'll see here, we kind of lose, I mean, it still looks cool, but we lose that like look through like glass effect that we get when it hovers over the text. So I do want to keep that. And for like this project, if this was something we were making for the client, and it's based on this one identity used anywhere, not metaphor, but concept, then I would probably I wouldn't have the logo here. Obviously, I would probably make something more where you're showing maybe different social media icons. So like imagine having 3D objects like the Facebook logo shifting into the Instagram logo, shifting into a driver's license thing, just to give that or communicate that it's like different kinds of identities or logins, basically. So that is something I would do, I think. But for now, again, we're playing with the logo here, and I think that's looking pretty freaking cool. If we click play here, this is what it looks like. And then you can see here we have the different breakpoints as well. So if I click tablet, we have the tablet breakpoint, and automatically you can see it decreases the text size like that. But on mobile, it gets cut off. So we have to change that manually. We're also going to change the sizes of the 3D objects for these different ones. So I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to go into tablet, and we're going to take the 3D shape, and we are going to reduce the scale a little bit, maybe to that. We can also put it closer to the text. We can also go to, let's see, this one, and reduce the size of that one to something like that, maybe. I think that looks pretty cool. And for our mobile, we did the same, so that just reflected over. Maybe we increase the size a little bit here. Obviously, the text size has to go down. I think let's do 48, and let's reduce the line height a little bit too. Let's do 48. And let's take the image. Let's reduce the mouse tracking a little bit so it's not as intense. And let's see with the blur. I think that's fine. FBM. Let's see if we reduce, increase, reduce, increase. No, I think that's fine. I think mainly it's the 3D object we should decrease in size here. So let's reduce that one to like 10. And let's move it further down, like here. So there we still get that glass effect. And now if we play it, this is what it looks like. One identity used anywhere. We have the same for tablet. One identity used anywhere. And for desktop, one identity used anywhere. Yeah, I think this is looking really awesome right now. So I'm going to go to export here. And this is the second thing with this tool, how easy this is now to export. So I can go into, like, I can export it as an image if I want to. So you can set the size here. We can set the scale, and we can set the format. We can export it as a video. So a WebM video, MP4, scale again, what kind of frame rate do we want, and like the duration of it. Then we can embed it. And this is what I'm going to use today, because we're going to embed it into Framer. So I'm just going to take this snippet, take the snippet. I'm going to jump back into my hero section, paste it. I'm going to place it here, 0, 0, 0, and 0. And you can see that it's right now just black. That's because we have to add the project ID. So I'm going to go back into Unicorn Studio, and you can go here to the embed URL. Just grab this here, copy, jump back in here, hit paste, and there we have it. Now, in this mode, it looks like it's not centered correctly. It looks a bit like it's a bit in the top left. But if you preview in Framer, it goes like it puts it in the right, in the center, basically, right? And we still have our, this hover on this button doesn't work now. That is because this is like basically on top of that button right now. So I'm going to go to styles, can hit C index, and automatically it sets it to 0. So now if I, no, that didn't work. The reason being that this button itself has a C index of 0. So we need to put that to 1. And now if I hover, you see we have the hover state on the button now. Now, compared to this insanity of a cool effect that we have here in the middle, this button kind of seems a bit boring right now. So maybe we'll jump back into Unicorn Studio to see if we can add some cool effect for the button. Now, a little anecdote here too, like the more of these things you add to your page, obviously, it's not going to be very performant. So you can't add too many of these. Like, I think maybe we're already going overkill with this one. Maybe just having the text effect and the text being static and having, this thing in the background with the illumination would be enough. I think what they have on the Unicorn Studio website, when you go to that, let's see, Unicorn Studios. Let's see if we can go to the landing page without getting logged in. Yeah, so this is what they have. I think this kind of effect is pretty cool to have. Very subtle, but still stands out. It's like, what the hedge? How do you do this with text? So I think just having a text effect like that could be enough, or should be enough, because it is going to impact your performance if you do too much of it. Too much of the good stuff is never great. But yeah, I think for now, this is looking awesome. I am going to do another thing here, and this is going to go against what I just said again, but I want to show some different kinds of effects for you all so that you can see what cool things you can do. Not saying that you should do them again, because the more you add, the more of the good, the less performance you're going to have. But we are going to do it anyways. So I'm going to jump into my hero here. I copied an element from Framer Supply called particles. Now with that element, I can jump back into my file. I can paste it, just Command V, and whoops, and I get this particle here, or particles component. I can pin it to all the sides here, like this. I can go to the backdrop, set it to 0%. I can go to the color here and set it to like 50%, the white color. We can also go to the size of it, set it to 0.30 or 0.5, maybe 0.4. And now if we play it, we have these little particles floating around. So it gives this idea of us being in space. And that is a theme that they have for D3 as well. They have this space theme. They are even using similar particles to this on the website. So just to stick to their branding, I wanted to add that as well. And that's how easy you can do that in Framer. Let's reduce the opacity from here. Let's say 0.75. So it's pretty subtle. You can see that we have this hover effect on it. We have a parallax effect too. So as you scroll or as you hover over, it gives you this parallax effect. We can change the smoothness to 15, so it's a bit smoother. But yeah, I mean, this is already looking quite insane. I really like this. Now, before we do other things here, we have 7 more minutes on this session. I think we can start playing around with some intro animations. And then for the last session, I want to go and see if we can do some cool stuff to the buttons as well to make them pop even more. But so let's start with this top left one here. Let's do so in Framer, you have different ways of animating stuff. You have the text animation effect that you can add to text fields. And you have the appear animation effect. Those two are the ones I want to cover here. I'm probably going to use appear for this one, because the text effect, you can see here, you have all these cool presets. So right now, this is a blur preset. If I play this, you can see how it blurs the text in like this. Insane effect that you get with 2 clicks. So we could use this for all of the elements on the page, but you could also use, like I said, the appear effect. Now, the appear effect won't allow you to do that kind of character by character animation that you saw in the nav here. For that one, we do need the text effect. But with the appear, we can do like a sliding bottom like that. Let's say like 12 pixels from the bottom. And you can see that it slides in like that. I'm going to do that one because appear effect you can add to anything. So I want to create that effect, and then I can copy paste it onto everything else. So I'm going to do the appear effect. I'm going to probably give it a bit of a skew. So we're skewing it, and a bit of a rotate. So now if I play it, you can see that it's like coming in from the bottom. And actually, as we're testing this, I am going to set this to visible no, so that we can just focus on the text effect. So you can see that. Now, this one is pretty quick right now. So let's go to the marketplace text. Let's go to enter. Let's go to the spring transition. And let's play around with this one. Let's say 75. Let's say 500 or 350. Let's say 175, 75. So now you can see it's much more smooth. So I'm thinking this, and this is something we've done in the previous streams as well. I do this for one element, and then I kind of do it gradually, or either from the top to the bottom or from the left to the right. So like this would appear, then this, then this, then this, then this, or these would all appear at the same time, and then these in the bottom. I think last time we did left to right. Maybe we do something similar because it just looks very good. So I'm gonna go here to this effect, copy, and you can even do this. You can go to the text field itself, copy effects, and then we can go to all of these now and paste effects. And now I can just jump into each of these and pull this menu up. I can give it a bit of a delay. So let's say this is 0.15. This is 0.3. This is, whoops. Okay, there we didn't paste the effect. So I have to go here, copy effects, and paste effects like that. And this, what was it? 0.15, 345, and then 60. So if I play this, shoom, that looks pretty cool. Looks pretty smooth. I'm gonna go to this one, and we are gonna go and say 0.75 in the delay. So now we get the whole top row like that. Shoo. You can see that it's getting masked out, like you see here. This is coming up from, looks like something is masking it. That's because the container here is hiding it. So it should be set to visible. And there we go. Boom. All right. So with that one set, we can take the last one. So the one with the most delay. I'm going to take that one. I am going to select these, and I'm going to paste the effect again. I'm going to go to the text here. I'm going to put this at, oh, actually, before these are going to show, I think I want to show the hero, like the thing we made in Unicorn Studio, the text here in the middle. So let's actually, before we change the delay of these, let's put paste here. This one, we're going to paste for both of these. We're going to have no, we can have an offset, but we're going to have no skew and no rotation, but we can give a bit more offset. Now for the particles, do they appear before or after the Unicorn Studio one? Let's say before. So this one was 0.75. So let's say that after 0.9, the particles appear, and then 1.05 for this. We can show it again. And then for these ones here, we do 1.3 and 1.45. And now if we play it, boom. That is looking pretty freaking awesome. Now, one thing I want to do here though is I'm going to set this nav to be position absolute so that it's in the top and this becomes more centered. Boom. This is looking really sci-fi and really just awesome. Again, all thanks to Unicorn Studio, really. This is, I cannot take credit for this. This has been too easy to create this kind of effect without any prior knowledge in really 3D software and stuff like that. But right now, this is looking like something like this one identity used anywhere. I want to dig deeper into that. It looks pretty cool, and I could see myself using that. Now, it's time for Q&A again. So I'm going to set the timer to 10 minutes, folks. If you have questions, please jump in and add your questions. Let's see here. This is interesting. So no questions yet, but I'm going to go through the comments here. This is interesting. Yes, I do 100% agree that this is both interesting and awesome and crazy at the same time. Like I am so pumped about the future of tooling for designers because we're going to get more and more stuff like this. So you can create even more insane things that you could never have dreamed of before in like 10 minutes. So yes, this is interesting. It's crazy. It's awesome all at the same time. Multi-smart. Hey, Tim, I'm your big fan. Hey, man or woman, super cool to have you here in the stream. I am just happy to have people like yourself coming in, joining, and yeah, being a part of the stream, watching. Let's see here. The next one. Love your work. You make everything so simple. Thank you. I try to. That's one thing for me. I don't consider myself an easy learner. Like, I don't think I am learning stuff particularly easy. I need to learn things step by step. So I think that might help me when I teach, that I have to think about things like for if I'm going to teach something like here in Unicorn Studio, going piece by piece makes it easier for me to understand stuff. So that's inherently just how I teach it to you guys as well. So I'm happy that you feel that way. Now, guys, please, comments, questions, ideas, anything. Like, I want to keep this stream as interactive as possible. So if you have anything that you are wondering about, like whether it's about Framer or about Unicorn Studio, now I don't know super much about it yet, but yeah, if you have anything about that, I'll try to answer it. Design in general, whatever you have, please jump in and ask, because not only am I happy to interact with you guys, but it also helps with the stream. So if you can like, comment, like I just said, share it, more people are going to see it. We're going to help more people, and it will be easier for me to continue doing these streams. So please fire away if you have stuff. I am super excited to jump into it. 7 more minutes, waiting patiently. Do we have any questions coming in? Well, if we don't have for now, I'm going to jump back into working on stuff. If I see comments, again, I will add more time in the end so that I can answer them. But for now, I'm going to reset the timer here on my phone to 30 minutes, and we are going back into this. Okay, so we have this gradual fade right now, which is, yeah, it's just looking pretty freaking awesome at this point. One thing that doesn't match, though, is the buttons, right? Now, I am going to go overboard with everything. Like, this is already becoming heavy because I have added these particles. I have added this, just a Unicorn Studio WebGL thing here. So it's already pretty heavy. Like, my machine is already sounding. So we probably should not add more WebGL stuff to this page. So instead, I'm going to try to just make the buttons here in Framer just look cooler. So I'm going to go in here. I am going to go to the inner one border here. Going to decrease the opacity a little bit in this one. Let's see if we do some kind of fade for this. So let's do this. I'm going to do just a white and then like a little bit of opacity on that. So it becomes a bit more like it has a bit of a lighter rim here on the top. Something like that, maybe. Looks pretty cool. Maybe I even decrease the border again here. Let's see, border like 6%. Okay, so that looks like a bit glassy and cool now. Maybe as we hover this, we give this some more color, or we increase the opacity a bit so it lights up as we hover along with this shine. So that is pretty cool. Maybe we even indicate even more here by giving this a bit of a opacity decrease. You can't really tell. What if we do 50%? I like that. That's pretty awesome. Now the shine there, can we make the shine look a bit cooler? Right now it's pretty generic. Can we make it like, let's see if we play around with the angle here on this one. This is something I have issues with sometimes. I'm trying to see something like that. And now with this, I can put this to white, and I can fade that out like that. And something like this. We have the blur, remember? So maybe I decrease the blur a little bit. And now I put it here again. That looks a bit cooler. Now it's even more glassy. What if this is not going to show currently though, because the background is all black, but let's just do it for the sake of it. Let's go here and say shadow. It's going to have a realistic shadow, and we can add a box shadow as well. And again, that's how easy it is to add that with Framer. And there you go, like kind of a glassy looking button like that with a cool shine. So that is looking pretty awesome. Now, what if, just what if we do like a bit of a lighter background? Like something like a bit more grayish like this. So it's not all black. I kind of like that because then we can see the shadow. Even if subtle, we can see the shadow there in the bottom. You can see here as we change size too. We haven't made, okay, we need to fix this now. So this should still be pinned to the top left and right. So as we decrease the size, everything comes with us. Yep. And we have this cool looking button. Now let's see if we can do the same thing with this button. First off, let's add the shadows. So one box shadow and one realistic shadow. Now, since this is white, we can't see it as much, obviously. I do think we still want it to be white like that because it just grabs the attention much more. grabs your attention much more. But I'm gonna jump in and see what we can do about this shine, for example. Let's do the same thing. Let's tilt it. Whoops. Let's tilt it. Hello. Can I? There we go. Tilt that. I'm gonna make both of these. Let's see. And I'm gonna change it back to like normal. And instead of the blending mode, I'm just gonna play around with the linear gradient here. So maybe something like 25%. And again, we can go and change up the blur a little bit. Maybe something like that. Now, if we, that becomes a bit too harsh. I think it just looks like a line going from the left to the right. What if we, I don't know. I kind of like the other one more. So let's continue down that path maybe. So there we still have this shine. Can we maybe, because again, I really want this to be highlighted in white. But when you have a white button like that, if we're not adding more fancy elements to it, like I said, we could add this WebGL Unicorn Studio thing even into this button as well. But then we're kind of overloading it with effects and the site is going to take a huge hit. So I don't want to do that. Let's see here. Let's see if we... One thing we could do is I now just duplicated this shine. Let's say shine 2. This shine 2, we remove the blend mode for. And this is also going to go send to back. Maybe this one actually goes inside of here. And we move it backwards. Let's see. Let's see, C index 1. Okay, it's really subtle. So let's see if we make this a bit darker. Now, how would this look if I go in here and this travels to the right side at the same time as the shine? Okay, it makes the shine disappear a bit, which was not what we wanted, but we have to try it, right, to know. Let's see if we do something else. Let's see if we just go crazy here and try like a completely different kind of effect. So as we hover, this shine number 2 just comes from the bottom here, kind of fades. I don't know, guys. It kind of masks out this first shine, which I don't like. You can see here as I drag it over, it loses that blend. See if some other kind of blend mode can help that. This is the thing with blend modes. I never know what they actually do. Like it's a mystery. Constant mystery as you're playing around with the blend modes. But let's see. Let's go back to lighten. Let's go back to shine number 2 here. And let's just pull it down to see. Shine number 2 goes all the way there. Yeah, what if we make this even darker? So we do something like that instead. And as we hover, what if this lights up even more? And what if we do, these are white, but they go like gradually like that. And then as we hover, it goes all the way. I mean, we're not going to win any awards with this one, but it does signal some kind of a hover state. Maybe we even do, let's see here, decrease the opacity. That kind of makes it look like a disabled state, which is not my intention. I think that could be enough for now. Shoop. And oh, I just realized something else here. This, you can see here, we had the same masking issue as we had in the navigation. So how do we get rid of that? We go to the parent layer and we make overflow visible. Boom. Okay, that is cool. We have that hover state. Now let's play it again. Let's see. Whoop. Shoo. Actually, we're going to jump back to Unicorn Studio because one thing we can do as we load this whole thing is we can make this 3D shape actually have an animation event or a peer event of its own. So what we could do is like have it scale from 0 to 1. So if we play this, you see it scales in. Whoops. Scales in like that. So then that's going to come afterwards. So now if I just go to the embed again and I update, see, we update it. And once it says that it's done updating, we will be able to go back into our work file and play it. Okay, it takes a bit too long. So let's say that we go to 3D shape again. And let's say that this is delayed with 1500 milliseconds. And let's take like ease in, let's preview. Boom. Okay, that looks cool. Update again. There we go. And we go back to the work file. And now, boom, that comes. And then boom, that appears. So everything is now sequenced. I kind of just want to update and look at this all day because the WebGL effects are, they just have that effect on you. Crazy. And there we have the hover states. It's looking pretty awesome. Now, since we do have like 16 minutes here, do you guys have any ideas of what we should do? Leave some comments in the chat here with ideas, and we can discuss if we can implement something else to make this next level. Like something I could do is just go into like making this, what's it called? Responsive. But that is not super fun. What else could we do? Could do like a, let's do a scroll animation. So as we start scrolling down here, I'm gonna do something pretty simple here. As we start scrolling down, we're gonna have a scroll transform, trigger on scroll. Let's say from, no, this is going to be 1, 1, 2, like up here. And we can have a spring transition. So now as I scroll, you see that comes down. Whoops. Yep. So as we scroll, it disappears up in the top like that. But actually, let's set this to fixed instead. So now it is fixed in top. but as we scroll, it disappears. See? But it shouldn't be actually a scroll transform. We should just have this as a scroll animation so that it's not transforming as we scroll. It's going to be one event that happens on scroll down. We are going to slide this out top like that. Let's say something like this. Scroll, boom. And then it comes back as we scroll up again. And you can see now in the preview, it's lagging. And that can happen in the preview. But there we have that scroll event. I think could have just, let's say here, let's say one a unified identity. Okay, I'm gonna make this white so I can see it. Where is it though? Hello, sir. Where are you? Let's give it like 200. Okay, there it is. Put it here. A unified identity. I'm gonna decrease the line height a little bit. I'm gonna put it inside of a frame. Gonna do a fill here, so it fills the entire thing. I'm gonna make it into a layout, have it centered. I'm gonna center it again. Let's go down a little bit in size. Let's have something similar. Let's say 88. A unified, let's say your unified identity. And whoops, 88. Let's see if we do like one there. And let's just play with the let's play with the text animation for this one because it will look pretty cool. So as we go into this next section, it's going to trigger as the layer is in view. We're going to have this blur preset. So let's just play this now. So as we scroll down here, it says your unified identity. That is pretty cool. But let's do like, let's see, flip, shake. You can see we have different presets here. Rotate, scale, boom, stagger. Okay, let's say stagger. Scroll down. It's too fast. So let's set a delay of 0.2. Maybe that's too little though. Let's say 0.4. Your unified identity. But it's not as cool when it's per word. Like it looks cooler when we have per character. Your unified identity. But it's a bit too slow there, I feel. Let's see if we go into the spring. Let's have it 300 and let's say 30. Boom. A bit too slow, I must say. And the blur does look cooler. What if we do the scale? Your unified identity. That looks pretty awesome. And I'm thinking here, like, as you scroll into this, and now this is becoming more like an Apple-esque website, right? Where we have like these big fonts and probably big visuals to go with it. Now we don't have a specific visual for this, but let's say, let's say, can we do something maybe with ChatGPT? Sorry, MidJourney. Let's say that we have like a metallic, or let's say a glass, an illuminated glass 3D render of a wallet, let's say like Cinema 4D high definition, I don't know if that helps anymore, on a black background. Let's see what we get here. Can actually change this to be square. And let's say of a, what could it else be? Like a social icon. Let's see. An illuminated glass 3D render. Let's say like blue, purple, gradient colors. Let's say what else could be the signify, like what could we have to kind of get this message across of this one identity. Let's say like credit card, because I'm thinking like, I'm not thinking a credit card, but I'm thinking a like a driver's license card. Let's see if I do that just to see what it could look like. This is really cool. I like this one. Now, what I want to do with this, I'm going to save this image. I want to go to Canva, and I am, okay, sign me in. Thank you. There we go. And we're going to create a new design. Whoops, not a doc. We can go into this actually. And we're going to go here. We're going to add a page. And we are going to just get this one in here. We're going to remove the background of this, but let's see how it actually is going to perform the background removal. Since we have these, that's the thing. We don't want it to light, like the image we get from here shouldn't light up like that. So this would be better. So I'm going to take this, even though it's not the correct thing. But again, think driver's license. That's what I'm all over the place here. Where is Canva? Here. Boom. So that wasn't great. We're going to get this one instead. Remove that one. And we are going to increase the size there a little bit. Remove the background. Like that. And now I'm going to share this with myself. I'm going to download it as a transparent background. Just this one, download. This is more for the art direction, obviously. So again, we're not going to use a credit card here. Let's see. Whoops. That was not what I wanted to do. I wanted to drag it into here. Boom. So something like this. So I'm thinking here, we could have this really cool, this could also be like a real 3D render instead of just a flat image like this. Let's give this text a bit of a cool, like more of a metallic look, maybe 35. Let's see, that looks pretty cool. Maybe we do it medium. Or seems like we're using regular here, so we don't want to mix up our font sizes. Could we use one word instead? That looks better. Let's say unified. And we could give it like a really bulked up and cool big font. Now the animation is too quick, obviously. Let's see. Text effects do not work with gradients. All right, but then let's do just a classic sliding bottom, and let's do 12. I'm gonna give it opacity so we can see what's happening here. Let's give it a little bit of skew and some 3D rotation. Rotate it in 3D space. Like, let's see. It's too quick still. Let's give it 0.5 in delay. We have 4 more minutes. Okay, let's give it, sorry. It now appears, should be layer and view. A bit too quick. I would want it smoother, much smoother. So like 80, 500, no, like 350 and 175 again. Boom, unified, and it's lagging. That looks pretty cool. Now, since this is not a 3D object, we cannot make this look as cool. If we had a 3D render to play with, it would look cooler. But let's see if we do, like, let's actually take this one, the scroll animation, and let's paste it onto our card as well. Let's give this one a slightly bigger delay. There we go. And then as we continue scrolling, this one is going to have trigger layers in view. It's going to go from 1, 1. It's going to go 2, like it's going to start going upwards. So we give it a like this parallax looking effect. So we scroll in there, boom. We come in, whoops. Now it's, our site is really trying to perform. So I'm probably stacking too many effects here. So let's, instead of that one, let's have it load like that. We scroll down, unified. Sometimes in the preview too, it becomes a bit overloaded. So I'm gonna open the link to the live website and see if it performs better here. There we go. Okay, unified. Let's see. Maybe I even make this a bit bigger. Pull it down a little bit. This one, I think the hero should have like a border in the bottom, probably. Like that, like a white border with a little bit of opacity. Maybe, yeah, so maybe we make this section be light, or we just stick with the dark theme. But let's, for this one, let's say height 100 VH, like that. Boom. So we have this Apple-esque thing. Zoom. And it looks pretty cool, right? We scroll into the, and here, obviously, we would probably go, this would not be a credit card, would probably be like some kind of driver's license or something that signifies an identity. And then we could go into all of the like benefits of having this one identity, one unified identity. Now, this is the stream. I'm gonna leave it at this. Let's see if we maybe do this actually. So I'm thinking minimum height is gonna be, min height is gonna be 100 VH, viewport, VH, like that. So just so that it looks better here when we play this. So it covers the full page like this. And as you scroll into here, whoops, This we need to fix before we are done. Let's say this is like 800 pixels. And we publish again. And we go to the site. Room. We have the hover states. As we scroll down, whoa, what is happening? Is it cutting off because of our... let's set this to fit content. So the overall parent wasn't including everything. So I have to jump back now to this. Boom. Boom. Unified. And here we will go into the next section. But yeah, guys, that is today's stream. That is Unicorn Studio. And that is Framer for you. Insane combo. I am definitely going to play around more with Unicorn Studio. Gonna try to find more use cases for it. I suggest that you all go in there and just sign up for their wait list, because when you do get that invite, you're gonna be excited, because then you have the power to go in and create these crazy things that we just saw. Yeah, that's it for today, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Again, if you want to learn how to do these kinds of things, I have videos on YouTube, like going through Framer stuff. I also do have a masterclass if you want to go in and check that out. It's like 24 hours of pure Framer material, making you basically into a hero in Framer. Check that out. And yeah, until the next one, have a